What's up, everybody? How y'all doing on this fine night? Well, I'm gonna be leaving for Portugal tonight, so I figured I'd make one last video before I left. This time, I was kind of wanting to address, some of what's been really tough um, in these past couple months, um, and maybe to help some people with to try and understand a little bit what this is like if people who don't really know what it's like going through this, or maybe I can help relate. Maybe some of y'all can relate with some of this. But mostly what I want to talk about is how withdrawal has really had a profound traumatic effect on my life. It's been definitely the hardest thing that I've ever dealt with. Even in relation to all the other fucked up shit that's happened in my life. Um, and well, I guess I'll start by saying I guess one thing that has been really tough is how difficult it's gotten. It's been for people to work with me on. I mean, there's in America there's pretty straight um, like there's very few options of directions you want to go if you're somebody who's trying to get help with addiction. um, but one thing I would say, and I mean this is tough because obviously I would don't wish pain upon anybody, and going through this is not something that I would hope for anybody to have to deal with. It's can be debilitating and traumatic, and cause a lot of anxiety. Anxiety has been something that's always been a huge problem in my life, but specifically when it comes to withdrawals, it gets to a point where it's unbearable. But what I was gonna say is that I think, of course, while I don't wish, I wouldn't wish having anybody to have to go through this. If it were something that everybody dealt with at some point in their life, I think there would be a lot more understanding. It's with doctors and nurses and the way things work, and just being able to read, I guess, on a scale of pain, what going through this is really like, because your vitals can look pretty close to normal. I mean, sometimes, I mean, of course they will get out of whack eventually, but when your mind already starts kind of going haywire and not knowing what to do with itself, um, you can look relatively normal while inside your body, your skeleton is wanting to just rage out, and creates this feeling that really is the worst for me, is this feeling of restlessness and agitation, where and this kind of brings me to a point where it can be in relation to it's this, even within the feelings that people go through in terms of recovery, it varies greatly from person to person. I've been in a lot of treatment centers where I've seen people go through all different kinds of withdrawal. I mean, withdrawal from alcohol or benzos is different than opiate withdrawal. I've been through all of those too, and they're all awful in their own ways. But I've seen other people go through opiate withdrawal and are miserable for 1 or 2 days, and then start kind of can quickly getting back to being very like open and active in groups. Starting to be social again, um, and to get their appetite back quickly. Um, and so and it'll be interesting to watch. People all going discussing their I guess how they're going to stay sober, or traumas in the past. Like expressing feelings that they haven't in a long time. And for a lot of people, that is the most difficult part. They did drugs because of, I guess, self consciousness, and just like wanting to escape from reality, um, and escape from feelings of trauma, which you know, maybe I still have deep down, and it comes up in ways that I don't really understand it. But for me, usually it takes a long time, in withdrawals for me to even start to be able to think about anything, and that's what makes it so horrible in my opinion. When it gets to the point where I get restless and agitated, and my mind starts racing faster than it's able to even keep up with. So it's hard to even really think. I'll find myself just counting second after second. Each minute of each hour, just trying to pass time, going back and forth from the shower to sitting in bed, switching positions every 2 seconds. It makes each day feel like it's like a year essentially. And then I'll have to, if I do it cold turkey, I have to go through that for like a month, and then go through this whole process of my mind, being able to adjust to working at a regular pace, when it's used to being sedated for like, the most part of, probably out of the past, like 20 years, in some way, at least 18 of those years, my mind had been used to working at a slower pace. So it's like this gradual process of, having to push myself every day, which I am still doing now, I mean, at first, when I was going through the cold turkey withdrawals, like, I wouldn't be able to eat for days, I'd throw up if I even drank, like, water too quickly, so, like, pushing myself to eat normally, like, and now even still, I push myself to, my appetite has been better, but it's been a push to eat, like, 3 meals a day, so even when I was on methadone, I take my medication so early on in the day that, usually by the evening, like, I wasn't even that hungry anymore. So, like, my appetite, and just my eating habits got kind of all out of whack. But, I've been pushing hard to eat 3 meals a day, keep myself active. Like, I've been doing a lot of recording, which has been helpful. I re-recorded all of, this band Plasmania that I've written some hardcore songs for in the past year or two. When I made the original demo, it came out pretty shitty because, also, like, on methadone, having the most functionality early on in the day, like, I would rush through recording, before I would start to, lose my drive to do things towards the end of the day. But, I spent a lot of time recording, especially because my computer is such a piece of shit and it takes like 10 minutes for everything to load. Sometimes it'll take all day. But that has been a help, just pushing myself to do things rather than just sit in bed and try and, isolate and, get out of my problems. I've been trying to be proactive in terms of dealing with them. But, I guess going back to tomorrow, it's going to be harder again. It's, in times of, short period of time, I remember being off of opiates. I remember, being able to go through, like, a lot of the trauma that I've been through, and been fine with dealing with it. Because your mind has, sequences in place, and it has things that it does to deal with things like that. But, I feel like when it comes to withdrawal, it's like, your body just and mind just, have no idea what to do, because, they're used to processing. You get so used to it being sort of the battery that's used for your body and mind to operate properly that it can't operate, and it doesn't know what to do with itself. And so, I mean, that is why it just, cold turkey withdrawals are something that, like, it's impossible for me to get through. They say, have to lock addicts in their room, which, I think is kind of inhumane. I would probably end up killing myself if I had to go through all of a methadone withdrawal like that. And methadone withdrawal can last for months and months, which is, one reason why I'm at least much more, appreciative that initially the plan was that I was supposed to switch to morphine for 2 months. So now at least I have some time that I've been on a smaller dose of, shorter acting opiates. So the withdrawal should be at least shorter. But you know, if they're going to do the ibogaine treatment properly, which you know, and I've spent a year and a half talking to this guy. 'Cause he's the guy that I guess runs this program, and you know, he funded opening this center in Mexico, but they didn't really have anyone there who were previous addicts that have experience of you know exactly what this is like. And that was the case at the first place I went to. That they did have everyone that worked there went through it, so they like, you know, it took me to do all the things that you know helped pass time and helped me to push you know to like adventure and socialize with people. You know, when I was kind of starting to taper down, so you know I could get used to get used to kind of the feeling a little bit while pushing myself and passing the time. So you know, then that's what you know they're gonna aim to do. I mean, you know, this center, he's been doing this for a long time there, and so you know, I've kind of grown to trust this guy. Talking with him over the past year and a half, it'll be nice to meet finally. But I mean, yeah, they know that you give all of the ibogaine at one time, um, and and um, and I mean, he also said that you know they're not going to make me suffer, and that they won't let me leave until I get to the point where I'm in the clear and start to feel normal, you know, without anything. And I mean, that's really all I want is to feel normal, and that's why you know I haven't even really been striving to get high. I mean, you know I don't even really enjoy the high that much. You know, it's not like this past month has been a party by any means. You know, it's been like still pretty tough. You know, and like just tired, fighting tiredness a lot of the time. But you know, I've been doing you know small as possible amount because really, you know, I do just want to feel normal. You know, it sucks having to wake up sick every day and you know having to spend every cent that you have just to feel normal. You know, I want to be able to just feel this way freely. You know, when I wake up in the morning, the way it's intended to be. So you know, it is something that I really want. You know, and so this has been you know pretty disappointing, but you know it's. I'm still very optimistic for the future, you know, and I've been spending my time doing things that will, you know, help with, put me where I want to go when I am in the right state of mind. So, I mean, that's all I can really think of right now. Yeah, I mean, you know, I'm not gonna give up this battle until you know I've made it to the other side. And I appreciate all of you who have stuck with me through this. You know, I know I've burned a lot of bridges over these past, you know, 15 years. But you know, hopefully, you know, I can show everybody that I'm going to make a turn around and you know be at all that I can be. And you know, gonna it's you know addiction is an uphill battle for the rest of your life. But you know, at least I'm a stubborn person. Sometimes it can be bad, but sometimes if I use it, you know, and determine myself to do positive things, you know, it can be beneficial tool on my side. So that's what I'm gonna do, and you know, I'm gonna bring you all along on this whole journey. And thank you all for staying with me. Peace. I'll see you guys when I get back.